I have a confession to make. I love Pizzapants from Deltarune. I love him more than I should. I think about him more than anyone is supposed to. I'm completely obsessed with him, and I have no idea why. Let's start with a simple look back at my relationship with the character. I first met him in Undertale, where he was called Burger Pants. I'd say I had a normal reaction to him. That is, I found him very funny and liked him a lot. He occupied a larger space in my mind than most people who played the game, probably, and I distinctly remember watching this video of him being voice acted by Timber Puppers as a kid and loving it. On Halloween of 2018, I was shocked to discover the follow-up to Undertale had been released, and even more pleased when I played through it and found all my favorite characters from the previous game living happily on the surface, including Burger Pants. But, like a lot of people, despite how much I enjoyed Chapter 1, Deltarune completely slipped my mind for the next 3 years, and I thought about it only sparingly until on September 16, 2021, I found out Chapter 2 was going to be released the next night. I frantically replayed Chapter 1 to make sure I was caught up. I loved it just as much as the first time, even more really, and this culminated in the Light World segment. I was overcome with nostalgia for both Undertale and my first playthrough of Chapter 1. Hometown feels so lived in and real to me that I find it hard to believe that some of the anecdotes the characters tell you weren't straight up lifted from Toby Fox's life. Eventually I found my way to the northwest corner of the town. There was Icy's Pizza. In the empty lot next to it I knew I would find Burger Pants again. Then I spoke to him.
Make no mistake, little buddy. Icy's Pizza's hell. I can't slug off for seconds without hearing, "Be a team player. There's no I in pizza."
Victory! You just took it out!
I still don't know what it is about that line. Combined with his glorious facial expressions, it just sort of clicked. I immediately began laughing, harder than I had in the whole game up to that point, and I didn't stop until I was out of breath. I played through Chapter 2 soon after that, and I was delighted to find Burger Pants, who I discovered had a different nickname in this universe, one that rolls off the tongue even more nicely in my opinion, inside the restaurant on his phone. Once again, I was completely stun-locked by him. When I finished the chapter, one of the first things I reported was that I liked talking to him. So, yes, Pizzapants is, to me, the funniest character in Deltarune, and it's not like he has no competition. Deltarune is a very funny game full of extremely funny characters, plenty of whom come close to dethroning him, and from an unbiased person's perspective probably do so easily. So what is it that made me obsessed with Pizzapants in particular? I don't know. I wasn't always this way, as I told you. Maybe it's that he made me laugh harder than any other character with such little dialogue. Maybe it's that I relate to him more and more with each passing day, but the truth is, he's my favorite character, and that's why Deltarune is going to hurt me. Let me explain. Deltarune is my favorite game. I've thought about it a lot over the past 3 years. Even though we have only 2/7 of it, what we do have has meant so much to me that I'm comfortable giving it that title for the time being. And for a long time, I was comfortable wallowing in my own brain rot about it. I watch YouTube videos on it sometimes, maybe talked about it briefly with the one friend who I know has played it when a big event like the sweepstakes dropped. That was all. My interaction with the wider fandom was entirely one way. I would absorb content and theories, but never put out my own. That all changed in September 2024 when, under the delusional belief that Chapter 3 and 4 were coming out soon, I finally joined a large Deltarune community server on Discord. There I finally met a lot of like-minded people. Now to be clear, by this point Pizzapants had already sort of cemented himself as my favorite character in my mind, but I wasn't ready to admit that in public. I felt kinda self-conscious about it, and I sorta still do. But the nature of this particular server was such that I expected everyone there to be more accepting of Pizzapants' brain rot. And sure, everyone there seemed to like him, but he hardly ever came up in lore discussions, for obvious reasons. Then at some point, I don't know exactly when, years of built-up brain rot began to leak out like the world's greasiest dam failure. I started making everything about Pizzapants. I would spread the good news of his glory from door to door like a missionary. I sacrificed my personality and whatever reputation I had at an altar to his likeness until everyone knew me as just the Pizzapants guy. For a long while I was content with this. Being the Pizzapants guy is a long way from the worst thing you can be. But then something deeply unfortunate happened. Deltarune got announced. Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4's imminent release on June 4th means that the theorist community has been forced to consider the possibility of everything they think they know about the game being blown out of the water. But I haven't been too concerned with that because for me it means something entirely different. I am going to have to live in a world with new Pizzapants content. You'd think I'd be overjoyed, right? I should be. But instead I'm scared. Pizzapants is not a character you're supposed to get invested in to this degree. He's supposed to be someone you find mildly funny in the Light World segments between the actual game. Being this attached to him is entirely to my detriment, because he basically exists exclusively as a punching bag. The more I think about it, the more I worry that I've ruined my favorite game for myself by loving my favorite character too much. Will I even be able to enjoy the funny Tenna TV world hijinks if there's a pit of dread in my stomach the entire time? I could complain all I want about how Pizzapants not actually being friends with Azrael or whatever would make the game objectively worse, but I've been forced to conclude that my feelings on this are simply delusional and not valid. Like, think about it. Chapter 7 comes out, it's peak fiction and everyone loves it, except there's this one guy who's sad because a joke character who exists to be thrown in the mud by the narrative got thrown in the mud by the narrative. I'm such an idiot, man. So, yeah, when Azrael comes home and avoids Pizzapants like the plague, it'll break my heart. When every Undertale shopkeeper, including the one with no personality and the one who's literally dead and buried, gets to go to a dark world and Pizzapants is the only one who's excluded, it'll hurt like hell. When he gets stepped on by Titan during the roaring and dies as a joke, it'll crush me along with him. I'm not ready to let go yet. I pray every night that Toby Fox will be kind to Pizzapants, or at least let me pretend a little longer, but I have no faith left in me anymore. I've pretty much accepted at this point that the worst case scenario is true. As the release inches closer, I convince myself more and more that not only will Pizzapants not be relevant to Deltarune, his entire presence in the game will be a joke about how he's the only character in Hometown who isn't allowed to be. And that sucks. I know it's pathetic, but I can't lie, it kinda hurts me a lot. But trying not to think about it hasn't been very helpful at all so far, so that's what drove me to make this video. Even though I'm incredibly self-conscious about my voice and my frankly pitiful attachment to this character, I realized I had to get it off my chest. Anyway, I'm sorry. I know I didn't really reach a conclusion of the question posed in the title beyond I don't know, and it ended up being circular rambling, but like I said, I needed to do this. Partly to vent, and partly to leave a mark on this era of fandom history before the next chapters drop. Sort of like contributing to a time capsule. On that note, I'd like to announce that this may be the end of uploads on this channel. I know it was kinda short-lived, but we'll have to see what the state of the Pizzapants community is after the credits roll in Chapter 4. If the game truly is as committed to severing my investment in this character as my pessimistic side suspects it is, then there will probably be neither demand nor motivation for more Pizzapants slop. In any case, thank you for listening to my insane mumbles. If you made it this far, I truly do appreciate it. I hope all of you enjoyed Chapter 3 and 4 to their fullest, and may St. Toby bless your blorbos with joy and screen time. This is Pizzapants Posting, signing off for the first and quite possibly last time. Goodbye. Okay, but hear me out.